tiny seed. We watch it blossom into light.
All right. Well, earlier I had mentioned one of my very first times. I had actually met Brad before Craig and Annie Dole had put on a couple of different conferences, but at those two conferences that they did, I was able to actually get to know Brad and to meet him and spend time with him and everything. So here we have Craig and Annie Dahl. Hey, brother and sister. So good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thanks for having us, Mark. Shalom, sister. Love you, Carol.
Shalom, my tribe.
Well, like Mark said, we remember fondly the conferences that we hosted up in Kansas, had you and Brad. And to us, it's always Brad and Carol. Brad and Carol.
Mm-hmm.
So we sure have fond memories of that time. And many other times, spent many Sukkots together, conferences, Revive conferences, yada, yada. I remember helping Brad at his table if Carol had to step away. She's so selfless in serving and helping people with his teachings. And like Mark had said, Brad was one of the favorite teachers, and it was because of his humor and his intelligence and humility, and it kept you engaged. It's hard to listen to someone for 90 minutes if they're not going to have some humor, and Brad had that. So we have many fond memories.
Yeah, in this very room, whenever Brad would come through, Rod and myself and the Blantons would come over, and we would spend, we wouldn't sit around talking about just trivial things. Mm-hmm. As soon as Brad got here, the keyboards would come out, and here went the music, and we would play praise and worship music until the wee hours of the night, until everybody was just, they're done. Things I know about Brad, there's things that I know and things I don't know. I know Brad was fun. I mean, when Brad was ever around, you could just plan on having fun. When Brad was around, it was just fun. And Carol, at one time, years ago, she could probably tell you when this was, but she said, Craig, I've got a slab, and I want to add on to Brad's study in Vernal, but there's an oil boom on, you can't find a carpenter. And I said, well, actually, I have time. So my cousin and I drove out, pulled the truck out all the way to Vernal, Utah, and spent a month with Brad and Carol. And I got to know Brad and Carol very well. I got to know very well. And I remember one day it was so cold, and I fell off the roof because it was so slick and there's snow on the roof, and I fell off into the snowbank, and Brad comes out and says, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm just mad. I said, Brad, you ever get mad? He says, well, I try not to. So after knowing Brad, I always thought that I never seen the guy ever get angry or mad. And on our 25th anniversary, Annie and I were blessed enough we went out to Utah and spent 3 days with Brad and Carol, and we rafted down the river, and we had just had a great time. And last year, it's not even been 1 year, our little tribe from here went back out again, and we said, let's just do that. And we went out and we rafted down the river again, and I still had never seen Brad mad. But while rafting down the river that day, Brad and Carol were in one raft with the Blantons. They were ahead of us because Carol knew the river. She said, now stay close because I know the river. So Rod and I...
You better be careful about what you say.
Carol knows I won't say anything bad. She's laughing, I can tell already. So Carol took the direct route down the river, and Rod and I were kind of hanging back. And then we looked up ahead, and I said, that doesn't look like something's not quite right there. And as the water was coming over the edge of the raft and stuff was floating out down the river, bottles and coolers and stuff, we decided to take the other route around the other side of the rock And as we're going around, there was a lot of commotion going on and a lot of chaos. And I can't testify, but I don't know if Brad at that time got mad. You would have to ask the people in that boat. But if there was ever a time that he might have got mad, it might have been during that little episode there. But I can't testify that he did. So anyway, that was the memory that was made. And I told the people in the boat, I said, it might have been traumatic, but that is what we remember. That was a trip that we'll always remember. And it was wonderful. And we spent 4 days with Brad and Carol at their house, and we played music and we sang, and we just had a great time. And Brad was just always fun to be around. I mean, that's what I'll miss.
Yeah. I mean, those memories are forever. And, you know, Brad always said, my true friends come out and visit me. We said, oh, okay, we're going to take you up on that. And they were lovely hosts, and we enjoyed an anniversary out there, and the next year, our birthday, something like that, maybe. Just really had a good time. And we're just the tribe. We're the tribe here in Oklahoma forever. And
it was just less than a year ago that this all happened, the rafting, and it just brought me to the realization is how fleeting is life, how things can change so quickly. So just take advantage of every day and bless God. And like Brad would say, thank him for just being alive.
And Brad had such an expansive mind. He was such a genius and intellect, and such a well-balanced person with his humor too. And I know he met his intellectual match in you, Carol. And he just one thing is he never focused just on this life. So all the praying that we did for all the healing, it's not just for this life. We all have many loved ones who went ahead and passed after our prayers, after our heartfelt prayers, and after we really felt like this is the time God is going to heal this person. He's very important to so many people. This work can't surely be over now, but it's not over. You will continue, Carol, to keep his teachings going. People will keep coming into this calling, the Father has to call them, and the healing is forever. We'll all see him in the resurrection, and we'll all have a big reunion and a big rafting party.
And one thing that I do know, and Brad always testified the fact that without Carol, he told me many times, without Carol, I don't know what I would do. Always. And she was there, and I do know that Brad loved Carol with all his heart.
Brad said that too.
He told me
without Carol,
many times. He said, "Hey, it's Carol. If without Carol, I'm nothing.
I'm basically just grabbing on to my bottom and don't know what I'm doing without Carol." Talk about Proverbs 31 woman, and I know this is a memorial to Brad, but the Proverbs 31 woman next to the man, that's a memorial. And it was Brad and Carol. Brad and Carol, they were unified. And how many conferences have we been to, or events, or just Brad on the road teaching at a congregation where he said, always mentioned his wife, Carol, back at home, and how he missed her and hated to be on the road so much, but this is what God has him doing right now. So just love you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome here anytime.
That.
Doors open.
Yeah. I'll see you Yom Teruah maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you, Mark. This was an honor. We're honored to, give verbal testimony to our memories of Brad. And there's too many. Like Bill said, how do you start? How do you condense? Because this was the early 2000s, maybe 2001, maybe that, we first met Brad and met you. My goodness, shortly thereafter, Mark, at 2002-03 conference. Carol remembers the year because she always does her cross stitch and gives gifts of love and blessings.
Yeah, Mark, you collaborated with Brad and Rod and I in Doggy Dinerville.
That's right.
That's exactly right. That is exactly
That
right.
was a great memory.
Yeah, it was. As a matter of fact, we'll have to bring him in and ask him about that. But I want to let you know, Craig, that you and Greg are a lot of fun yourselves. You know, I know Brad was a blast, and I'm sure the three of you would have been a lot more maybe than I could handle. But when I was with you and Greg, it was a blast. You guys are great, man.
They're ornery.
Really have great memories of you and Greg. So
Oh, good. I'm glad they're good memories.
you bet. Well,
A tiny seed, we watch it blossom into